So, Ramona, it's great to have you here. And, the roots of your company, Declara, are in your remarkable, inspiring recovery from an accident you suffered when you were just 22 years old, right? So tell us about that, and how did that inform what you do at Declara?
So when I was 22 years old, I was in the Marine Corps, and I was out running. I used to run marathons for the Marine Corps, and grabbed my dog, started out to run, and a drunk driver at the same time I was leaving, left a bar, and we hit an intersection at the same time. He ran a red light, and my left foot got caught up in the wheel well of the car, spun my leg around. The bumper sliced my throat. I suffered blunt chest trauma. And if it wasn't for somebody in the, a passerby who took a big pin out, opened up my airway, I wouldn't be here today. And so Declara came out of, the understanding of innovations and radical collaboration, because the innovations of being able to keep me alive and everything that was invented along the way inspired me to really be an innovator myself.
Wow. And what do you mean by radical collaboration?
So a few things happen. So when you look around this room and I think about curiosity and the end of school, I get excited about that, mainly because a lot of people who invented some of the body parts I'm wearing today inside of my skin were people who dropped out of college, dropped out of school, and invented, both my feet are titanium, my knees titanium, I have different pieces in my heart, my nose is plastic, my cheekbones titanium, I'm getting a titanium jawbone next week. So every time some body part falls off, somebody invents something just in time for me. So, and that inspires me, but it was this radical collaboration. The hospital had given up on me, the medical profession did, they never thought I'd speak again.
Wow.
It took me 4 years to learn to speak again, and it was when they dumped me in a nursing home and, and I looked like E.T. had just landed there. I was about 68 pounds, bald, and looked, didn't have a lot of my face by then. But I had like 100 grandparents in that nursing home who all came around and retaught me everything I know, how to speak, how to walk, how to function as a blind person. And I was completely blind for 10 years until some dropout figured out how to invent some robotic surgery so that I could have brain surgery to get the vision in one of my eyes back.
Wow. Yes. I mean, you're the definition of extraordinary, right? Like extraordinary. Like that is freaking amazing. Well, so we see terms like machine learning, right, and semantic search techniques and descriptions of the platform developed by Declara. Can you explain a little bit more about what Declara does and describe the user experience?
One of the things I learned was when I was in the senior home was that a lot of people can come together and really help accelerate your learning. Not just one sage on the stage or a teacher, but that knowledge is out there. And what we do is we actually replicate a lot of the hierarchical processes of the brain. So when you think about it, your cell phone, just a simple tool, can access you to an open library that is the sum of all human knowledge. It's fascinating that we have that much content out there in the world that just needs to be indexed, classified, sorted, and then provided in an easy to use way to learners. And so I believe that we're all lifelong learners and that we're driving our learning through curiosity. Every day I work by studying and learning and driving my work through what I learn. And so we use the machine learning to really understand and process content and be able to deliver that content to people based on their intent for learning. And sometimes we just automatically provide that to them.
It's brilliant, really. And I have this image of you in the nursing home with all of these ladies standing around you, like teaching all that. Right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So now tell us, who is it available to?
So we've been working with the nation of Australia. So what's fascinating is Australia said, hey, we're rolling out a new curriculum to our teachers. Instead of taking a hammer and beating teachers over the head and saying, you have to learn this curriculum, they decided, well, let's use Declara. We'll roll this out and we'll onboard educators to the new curriculum. So what they did is the educators started leveraging our platform to be able to identify the holes in their curriculum and crowdsource the support around each other and the creation and invention of new content so that they could support the rollout of the curriculum at scale. So also we're in Mexico right now. We're doing the same thing, onboarding educators to new curriculum. So what we started out doing is focusing on really understanding the skill to labor mismatch and seeing how countries who are having to transform their entire workforce because of either they're trying to onboard into the information society or they're finding that their current economy is collapsing. And so most of the countries that have come to us have said, how do we transform our whole workforce at scale immediately? And so those are the kinds of clients we started out with, and now we're working with Genentech to help researchers solve clinical trials for cancer much quicker and faster to reduce costs. And coming this spring, we're going to have a consumer product so that anybody can use our product for free.
Wow, that was going to be my next question,
Yes.
right? Did you hear that? Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about you. This is your third startup. What other companies do you envision starting?
Since I'm a lifelong learner, I am always playing around with studying things. So nanotechnology is something that I'm fascinated with. Mainly because I'm probably going to have to fix myself soon. But actually I got into the neurosciences because at that time I thought, I'm going to have to figure out how to see again. But fortunately someone else figured that out for me. I started out really focusing all of my companies around learning, mainly because it was such a difficult thing as an adult to come back and learn, mainly because my ego kept getting in the way of having to relearn how to speak. I had to learn how to trap the air, move my tongue, move my lips again. When you're a kid, you learn things so naturally because nobody's telling you
Sure.
that it's strange for you not to know these things. And when you're an adult, your ego starts to inhibit your ability and your curiosity to be able to try things in the risk-taking. And so the reason why all of my companies have been wrapped around learning, I started out with helping students learn, kids, and then now I've been focused on adult learners because all of us have to be continuous learners because the world's changing so fast.
Yeah.
And to be able to have 2 billion people out in the world to be your teachers through mobile devices. So there's 2 billion people that are connected today, 5 billion people in the next 5 years. We might as well create a platform that will allow all of us to connect all the time and to learn from each other.
Wow. And you're so right. I mean, and it's not even the answers we're looking for anymore. It's
Right.
really being able to have the right questions.
You read my mind because one of the pieces of our product will be around curated questions.
Sweet.
And one of the learnings I had from that was a Gates-funded project called Folded. I don't know if you've read it. But UW had an experiment around, can we take just novice learners and teach them cellular biology? And so they created a really simple tool that gamified learning. And they had a little rocket ship that would go up. It was pretty ugly when it first began. Started out with 40 people, old ladies who were knitting and high school students, but pretty soon that 40 became 700, then 40,000, then 70,000. And these people now, by crowdsourcing solutions, are able to beat double doctorates in predicting how proteins are going to fold. And so imagine that kind of power can help us invent new drugs and end issues and diseases faster than probably companies like Genentech will be able to.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. And that's around really being able to curate questions so that you learn from the questions.
And not only that, it's the essence of education, right? And I think every one of our speakers today talked about this, and that there's something very powerful about the act of giving.
Exactly.
And that we receive so much more when we're able to just open up our hearts and our minds and give, and that's exactly what you're doing. And solutions are coming that, would be 50 years in the making.
It's amazing because when we start thinking about how we can open up learning and provide democratization of content and resources, and when I think about the greatest resources that are out there, those are us, everybody in this room. And when I think about the senior citizens who helped me come back, imagine the power of people who aren't being used, and they have all the skills and talent of everybody in this room.
Yeah.
They just need to be accessed.
Right. And that's what helped you see it, right?
Yes, exactly right.
Beautiful. Okay, we've got a few seconds left, and I've got 2 questions, so I want to be rapid fire. The first one is, what advice do you have for all of the serial entrepreneurs here in the house starting their own company? And the second is, why do you think such smart people drop out?
Good question. So the first question, take risks and be willing to undo everything you've done. So right now, what we've been doing is inventing new tools that we're going to provide in our consumer product that will actually probably undo the tools we've invested in already.
Oh, wow.
And that's because you have to take the risk to invent and reinvent and continue to undo yourself.
Undo, yeah.
And so with education and learning, I believe you have to unlearn everything so that you can actually relearn and teach. And why do people drop out? Some of your smartest people drop out because we're not challenging them. And we're restricting them on a pathway that isn't right for them. So when we define a learning pathway for people or curriculum for people and not allow them to develop and curate their own curriculum and their learning pathway, we imprison their mind. And the only way to free themselves is to escape.
Hear, hear, give it up!
Thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.